my reaction to Rich Men from Richmond. This is going to happen more and more. That's my reaction. This is doesn't surprise me, quite honestly. I love the music. I love the art. Again, we're working on Bitcoin trading cards right now. We've got a couple of series out already with beautiful art. Probably some of the best art you're ever going to see on trading cards, and education on them. You're going to see more music happen. We've seen a lot of the Joe Biden songs like get taken off of Spotify and iTunes and all this garbage, right? Because they're speaking truth, right? As we say here all the time, the algorithm hates truth. When you have a culture that we live in that ignores truth, right? One of our buddies that we interviewed on here, right? Zach, the Village Idiot, talks about you can ignore truth, you can accept truth, or you can submit to truth. What do? The intelligent people submit to truth, meaning they accept the truth and then they work with it. They use it to guide them and to help them. Most people, unfortunately, really live in like the ignore, just accept camps, and they just kind of like, and they kind of like just put their head in the sand, for lack of a better phrase. But intelligence lies in being able to hold opposing opinions in your head at the same time. And when you see people that are constantly wrong or they're constantly right, equal importance should be put on both people. When you see someone who's constantly wrong over and over and over again, or constant network abuse where it's like they're over and over wrong every single time over and over again, they're very valuable, because you know as soon as they say something, like Nolan Bowerly always talks about Adam Schiff. Like every time he goes out there and opens his mouth, you know the exact opposite is true, right? Just he's their liar, and he goes out and they need a good lie, and they need to, you know everything he says is exactly opposite of what he's actually saying. So when you have things like this, you have people like this, you know that when they're pulling stuff off, we're in this cancel culture, you know that the opposite is true, right? When you have this like, oh, they said this, or they're doing that, or these just Joe Biden song, or whatever it is, and it gets canceled, like they're ripping it off of things, they're pulling Bitcoin off of like the iTunes store, or the Parler pulled off, like things like that. Any free speech, any truth, anything that's gonna like take on the establishment and the deep state, it goes away. You know you're onto something. You know that's something you should be looking more into. You know that right there, period. That's it. So my reaction is beautiful work by Oliver Anthony. It's awesome. I know people are like, oh, he's a psyop. He's a right-wing psyop. And it's like, okay, at the end of the day, we talk a lot about stuff like that here, but at the end of the day, guys, like not everything's a psyop. I'm all for psyops. I'm all for conspiracy theory talk and like talking about which again, death of the conspiracy theory. Conspiracy theories no longer exist anymore. 2023 is the death of that. I called that on January 1st this year. It was in a space. I said, this is the death of the conspiracy theory this year. And it's, as people say, conspiracy theories are just spoiler alerts, right? 6 months later. And it is true. And conspiracy theory came out, that term, after JFK was assassinated. That was when it came out. And we have to understand where in the world we're at with this and why, right? It's a PSYOP. It's a Smith-Moon Act, Modernization Act by Obama 10 years ago, where you can propagandize. The U.S. was able to then to propagandize its own people. So again, something no one even talks about, but now the U.S. apparatus, deep state, everything is allowed to legally propagandize its own people. You can go read it. It's like a page long. This is the clown world we live in. So when you have things like this, people seeking truth and grasping for truth and so hungry for truth, that's why RFK is doing well, and Vivek, and we talk about this over and over. And you have these Joe Biden songs come out. You've got this Rich Men from Richmond. These things go viral because people are seeking it. They're wanting it so bad. They're feeling gaslit. They're being canceled. They're being told they're morons. They're flyover country. 90% of the country being told that they're worthless. They don't exist. They're not important. Their jobs don't matter. Whatever it is, right? That's why these things go viral. So that's where you're onto something. Like, hey, there's something there. There's something we need to look into there. Not to say it's completely right or wrong. It just, we need to look into that. We need to check into that. Wait, hey, what's going on here? We need to tap into that. That's what it says to me. And it's going to happen more. It's going to happen more and more and more. We're pumping out tons of art and education in the coming months and the coming years here, because it's a huge thing. Memes are the warfare. Memes, memetics are the warfare. And Bitcoiners have the greatest social layer on earth. And that's why one of the reasons why Bitcoin wins, because Bitcoiners are cyber hornets, right? They attack, and they just go. It's the peaceful revolution, and we're in the culture war right now. We're in that battle right now for the hearts and minds of good people everywhere, and waking people up to what's actually happening. Songs like this, art, education, all that stuff's going to be huge. Even the books, The Fourth Turning, The Sovereign Individual, talked about art, education, and artists being massive proponents into changing the system and this turning. So That's my reaction to it. Well played by him. I know he's got I don't know much about his story at all. He's got a nice little setup there, so I know that's why some people were like, oh, it's a psyop, and look at, he's all like nice. I was like, well, yeah, it's not just a random guy sitting at a campfire, belting it out. Obviously, there's a little more polish to it and stuff like that. But he struck a chord, right? Struck a chord. Maybe it was made by ChatGPT. I don't know. Maybe the song was made by ChatGPT. Who knows? There's going to be a lot of that too, right? I'm waiting for this to become more mainstream, where like Bitcoiners themselves, people, truth seekers, are just out there creating songs. The Jay-Z song, just creating all these awesome songs written by ChatGPT, written by AI, and produced by AI, and they're just everywhere. They're just littering like pamphlets, like it's a B-29 dropping pamphlets over in the entire country of Japan in World War II, and just littering it with and that's what I'm waiting for. And I think that moment comes in the next year or two, and once we have more bad things happen, people talk about suspending elections and stuff like that, like it's not gonna happen. Like it's we're a banana republic, but not that big of a banana. and people have weapons here, so that's like it's not going to happen. But that talk, things like that, those are psyops, because they want people on the right to revolt. They want like January 6th times 100. That's what the people in the deep state want. That's what politicians want, the bankers, because then they can collapse in, and it's a bubble effect. They can just cripple everything and say, oh, martial law. Like they want that type of fervor, because they want to be able to take your liberties away. If it's not martial law, they want to be 10 Patriot Acts, not just one. They want all of your liberty. They want to take everything. Oh, CBDCs, we told you, because these people all bought their stuff from this gun shop and this and that, and their microphones from eBay, and like they'll just do anything and everything. And that's where you get people really wake up, and like that. Those would be the cataclysmic moments where it's like boom, like oh my goodness, what is going on now? That's what this keeps stoking, and people start realizing more and more and more, and faster and faster. And we get to that 3% number of people that have been beat over the head and gaslit, and then it just launches, and people just unleash and unchain themselves from the government and say, get the F out of my life. You are gone. You work at the consent of us. And we're getting there. We're probably still a couple years away from true unshackling, if you will, because there's still a lot of non-playable characters out there. Still a lot of NPCs. Still a lot of people asleep at the wheel, watching the Kardashians and playing fantasy football, and just like have their heads buried in the sand. Not that there's wrong with anything watching the Kardashians or playing fantasy football, but I'm talking about the people that just have their heads down and literally have no clue what's going on in the world. They think the war in Ukraine is amazing and people dying all over is amazing, because that's what you're for. If you're for the war and all these things going on, either side, doesn't matter. You should be, if you're not for the war of people dying, you should be saying, hey, end this crap. Both of you go home, stop doing this stuff. And again, Ukraine's at home, right? But Zelensky, you guys, Boris Johnson killed the last peace talks months ago. Get together, figure this out. U.S., stop propagandizing over here and stop stoking the fires. Get out. Stop sending all this aid over there. Stop sending it. Suffocate the entire thing and go home. Stop killing each other. That's, again, a story for a different day. But we have to start getting out of this NPC world where we're just locked in, our head in the sand. We're just locked into, preseason football. Like, what are we doing here? So please share this out. Algorithm hates truth, like we talk about all the time. I appreciate you coming to my TED Talk. Question everything in boldness, even the existence of God himself. Trust but verify. It's not financial advice. It's freedom advice. I wish Oliver Anthony well. And this song, I hope, goes to hundreds of millions, billions of views. And people see this everywhere and start waking up and questioning, what is going on in this island over here? Wait, the dollar is worthless? Really? That's my hope. That's my reaction. We'll see you in the next one.